My only regret in playing with the big three is that I didn't do it soon enough.
Yeah.
I felt like I should have been more selfish in my decision making in my career versus trying to be loyal and but Minnie was where I was and that was my heart.
It was a quote from a Portland Trailblazers Facebook fan page. Lillard needs to go for his career to have any chance before it's too late.
All right, man. The Milwaukee Bucks, they suck. As a team that's quote unquote a championship contender, plain and simple, they suck. The supporting cast really isn't that good. The depth absolutely sucks. The coaching staff absolutely sucks. And really, outside of Dame and Giannis, this is a very lackluster team. Last night at home, mind you, Cleveland, they're off a back-to-back. Dame had 41 points, and what made this so impressive to me was he and Giannis simultaneously had big games together, but they still lost. This precisely has been the theme of Dame's career. Even one of the best playoff games played ever by Dame was in a losing effort. Now, I'm attacking this video from Dame's angle because the Milwaukee Bucks are now 1-5. Dame is 34 years old and he doesn't really have a significant legacy outside of being a big performer on bad teams. And to be honest, it's all his fault. Dame, for the majority of his career, has always been a sympathetic figure. We always highlighted how mediocre his rosters were, especially in the Western Conference, how bad the roster construction was, the fact that he never even really played with an all-star outside of LaMarcus Aldridge. I believe the public gave Dame that pass, and we sympathized with Dame all the way up until the point where we began to realize, okay, we know Portland is Portland, but what exactly do you want to do about it? Personally, I believe Dame got way too comfortable with losing, putting up big numbers, having zero expectations, and getting sympathy for it. I just told you, last night Dame scored 41 points, and we know, for his career, he's not new to having big nights. Since he joined the league, Dame is third with 40-point games. His prime was so dominant that he's only behind James Harden with 50-point games. He was so individually brilliant on bad teams that he's first in 60-point games since joining the league. But ultimately, what did all that stuff really get him? Paid for sure, in the history books for sure. But ultimately, it put him in the company of winners when unfortunately his legacy matches one of a loser. And I don't even think he's that. Since joining the NBA, with all the responsibilities of carrying a franchise, Dame has also been one of the best playoff scorers as well. Out of everybody with around his sample size of playoff games played, he's top 10 in playoff points per game. But this is what I mean when I say he puts himself in elite company with his individual brilliance, but his specific legacy is always the odd one out. Out of everyone in that top 10, look at everyone else's winning percentage, and then look at Dame's. Of this generation, he's been by far the biggest loser that actually performs. If you want to take it to a historical step, out of anybody that's averaged at least 25 points per game in the playoffs, Dame has the worst losing percentage of everybody. And going back to that graphic and why I say it's Dame's fault when you wait too long to leave, look at who's second worst on that list, Donovan Mitchell. What did he ultimately do? He left in his prime, and look at Cleveland now. That game last night was very telling because to me, it showed two dudes with two completely different approaches. Unlike Dame, Donovan didn't just sit there and get comfortable collecting big ass checks, which, bro, I get. But also putting up big numbers and sitting there in mediocrity with no expectations. Donovan chased greatness. Dame, he didn't.
He keeps saying, don't hold me to the same standard you hold these other stars who have way
no, you got to. No.
Okay, well, that's the point.
Because we look at you like that, Dame.
Yeah. All right. Are you Dame time or not?
Yeah.
I respect the hell out of Dame, especially as a businessman, because bro, he's made close to 300 M's sitting there playing at 1 a.m. Eastern time with zero expectations and putting up big numbers. But I've always agreed with Skip Bayless with this. It always felt like Dame loved the aesthetic of being a big fish in a very small pond, again with no expectations. When Dame played in Portland, all we could do was appreciate the greatness this man put on display every single night and never judge him for not winning. When you're playing beside Giannis, that completely changes. We always heard Stephen Curry had all the great players. These guys have all the great players. You can't compare him to Dame because Dame isn't playing beside nobody. But now we want to see exactly what you are when you're expected to win. Think about it like this, and this is exactly why I say Dame got a little bit too comfortable being that big fish in a small pond without really much talent around him. Dame has played 71 games beside Giannis, and these are his averages. Now look at Dame in his 8 to 9 games without Giannis. That's the old Damian Lillard. If you don't believe me, look at Dame's last 4 years in Portland and look at those numbers. They're damn near identical.
It's hard because, I mean, my entire career, I've always been somebody who, like, if I can do one thing, I can take over. I can take over a game. And, you know, I think I've joined a new team and the situation is different. And I understand it is different, so I have to try to, you know, find a way to not just go back to what I've always done because it's probably not always necessary or probably not necessary at all.
I'll say this and then I'll leave it alone. Dame was in that 2012 draft class and he's easily one of the best players in his class. If you look back at that graphic with the top 10 playoff point per game scored since he joined the league, Dame has the exact same average as his classmate Anthony Davis. Looking at the parallel and the ironies of their careers is actually crazy. If I take you back to the 2018 playoffs, these two actually met, and at that time, the critique on Anthony Davis was he never made it out the first round. If you look at the ESPN experts for that specific series, everybody picked Portland. Everybody. AD, Drew Holiday, and Rondo ended up sweeping Portland. And what exactly happened the season after is to me what changed the trajectory of Dame and Anthony Davis's career. This same exact draft class. In 2019, whether you respect it or not, Anthony Davis basically said, bro, I've given this city everything I've had and I'm too talented to waste my prime here. I need a new scenery. Dame, and I respect it, he was still chasing the grind, made the conference finals, got swept in that guard matchup against Golden State without Kevin Durant, and that summer was very pivotal for both players. Anthony Davis, as we know, he went to the Lakers, won an NBA championship in his first year, made a conference finals, and really solidified himself as a top real 75 player, and he has the resume to prove it, the playoff resume. Dame stayed 4 more years in a no man's land zone in Portland, and look at their careers now. The following season, Anthony Davis knocked Dame out in the first round, and since then, Dame has the worst playoff winning percentage of any star playing. I'm not even saying what's going on now in Milwaukee is Dame's fault, because I don't even think that's the case. But this is proof of exactly what can happen if you get way too comfortable with mediocrity. Dame waited way too long to leave. Now he winds up in a situation that looks awful, and Dame has been the sole star of his team for so long without much help that I think he's still adjusting to playing with a superstar such as a Giannis, and that's understandable. If you guys like this video, let me know in the comment section what you guys feel about this topic. I'm gonna talk about this from a Giannis side as well, so stay tuned for that. Follow my social media sites, turn on post notifications, do all that great stuff, guys, and until next time, as always, stay tuned.